Come seeker, come traveler, come all humankind, online or in person, whomever you love.
Come and be welcome at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Cheyenne. Here, we are building a community of refuge where all have equal worth and are invited into spiritual exploration as a foundation for hope, compassionate service, and action.
This is a place where questions are encouraged, a place with room for all of who you are.
This is a place full of works in progress, a place for being human together.
Welcome. It's good to be here.
Settle in and exhale, for this is a time for community.
And I'm Audrey Benton, and I'm here both as a worship associate and as a member of the board. And I'd like to welcome you to this church where we are on a shared journey to find meaning, connection, and community together. If you are new to us, please fill out a blue welcome card, or if you're returning and want to be on our email list for the newsletter so that we may reach out to you for ways that you can help find what nourishes your spirit here. And they're in the back of the pews, by the way. And then there's also note cards in the back of the pews as well that you can use to write down any joys or sorrows for the pastoral prayer. And we'll pass that rectangular basket around for that when we do the offering. You can write your name if you'd like, or be anonymous. You can also write "do not share" if you have something you would like to be held in care by the worship leader and pastoral care team, but not spoken in prayer. And many events and activities happen each week, and I did not bring my sheet of announcements, but I do know that next week is the Potluck Sunday. Please bring food if you would like. Otherwise, there's usually plenty. If bringing food for others stresses you, there will be food to share. And we do have a Bring Your Own Book Club, and it's happening this Thursday in the library. You can bring the book you're already reading or want to begin and join us at 6:30 p.m. And if you missed the last membership class, but you're hoping to become more deeply connected to this community, join us Wednesday at 6 p.m. Several of our congregational leaders will be there to help explain our structure and some of the many ways of getting involved in this congregation. And then one other thing is that in April, we're contemplating having something happen for Earth Day. And if you are interested in helping to create that, to make suggestions, please come find me during coffee hour and maybe we can start putting things in place for what we might like to do for Earth Day. And now I would like to invite Elaine up to talk about our Share the Plate partner for the month.
Good morning. We gather in person. We gather in person and on Zoom each week, giving from our resources to sustain the work of this church and share our abundance with community organizations, broadening the reach of our values. You can find the text to give number in your order of service, or use your Realm app for electronic giving, or your Share the Plate offerings and pledges may also be dropped in the baskets in a few moments as they pass. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of September is the Unaccompanied Students Initiative, and please welcome Jessica Sayers to tell you a bit about their work.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. I was lucky enough to be here last week, but unfortunately had to leave for a crisis that we had at our Cheyenne home, but I'm glad to say that we got that situation taken care of. I am proud to say that I'm the executive director for the Unaccompanied Students Initiative, which is a nonprofit throughout the state of Wyoming. We have a house here in Cheyenne, one in Casper, and one in Laramie, where we provide stable homes for children and youth who are experiencing homelessness, ages 16 through 20. That's okay. Our mission is to provide safe, stable housing and to develop support systems for high school students and those who have graduated high school, ages 16 to 20, experiencing homelessness. Our vision is, excuse me, to end the intergenerational cycle of homelessness. And I will have you know that on these videos, they were all taken in our homes with our youth that agreed to have their photos taken. So many ask me, what is an unaccompanied youth? And that is actually a youth who is not in the physical custody of a parent or guardian. That can incorporate youth who have aged out of the DFS system, youth who have been kicked out of their home, youth who are struggling with issues in the home with parents and or custodial guardians. The wonderful thing about our program is that we don't just provide a shelter, we provide programming for our youth where they are able to get education and financial literacy, sensible nutrition, healthy relationships, and all of these are courses that are taught with our partnering community partners that actually come to our youth in our house and give them those life skills. These are some of the data that we have accumulated. I'm also proud to say that we just got a grant this year that is helping us with the HMIS, which is the homeless management system throughout the state, so that we are able to track our youth, so that we can get more important data, but more than that, we're able to stay in contact with them if they so choose, so that if they do run into issues down the line after they've exited our program, we're able to come in and provide assistance then as well. Many ask me how we are able to serve the youth with the parents or guardians at ages 16 or 17 before they turn 18. And this is the state statute that refers to that law, which indeed allows the youth to come into our program and have an affidavit signed by a counselor, a minister, a healthcare provider stating that they are indeed without adequate housing. With that, then they are able to sign for their health care needs and schooling, so we can come alongside them and make sure that they get those basic needs met while they're in our care. And like I stated, we have the 3 areas of operation. We were the birth child of an idea throughout Laramie County Partnerships here in Cheyenne. So we are the administrative site here in Cheyenne, where we do house 12 youth. We have 6 female and 6 male sites, or 6 rooms on the male side. And again, this just shows you all the things that we do provide in our program that is above and beyond that. We have a lot of youth that come into our program who do not have a driver's license, who may or may not have a birth certificate, who may or may not have any form of ID. And so navigating those systems so that they can have future resources is one of our top priorities. So we do deal with those situations as soon as they come in, making sure that they have adequate health care, adequate mental health care, making sure that they're partnered with a counselor. And so it can be a vast array of resources that are needed in that youth situation, but we try to cater that to whatever the youth's needs are. And some of the wonderful outcomes that we have seen from USI, obviously, is the high school graduation, also post-graduation plans, but that can also include youth that have gone into trades, or they have gone into mentoring with another person in the community that has led them down a job skill base. acquiring all their legal documents, access to transportation. We provide transportation to youth to not only just jobs and to school, but also activities or things to the grocery store, things like that. We help them apply for jobs. We work closely with the job resource centers, and also when a youth are ready to graduate from our program, we help them look for sustainable housing, help them navigate all the documentation and all the application processes that come along with those as well. I would say right there, it says 100+ students have been served. We are well over that number at this time. I would say that we're probably well over the 250 students range at this point. And as you can tell, as our numbers show you, that the total nights that we're able to provide bed for youth ages 16 to 20 is pretty fantastic. And now that we have incorporated the Cheyenne House to 2 more rooms per side, as well as the Casper House, that we're looking to increase those numbers as well. So as need is growing, we're trying to grow along with that as well. I did speak last week just about a couple of the stories of our youth, and here is a couple stories that you can read yourself. Also on our website, we have a wonderful video with a young woman who was a youth in our program, and then she graduated, went on, and then came back and actually was working for us and served in our program, which is a beautiful cycle of servant leadership after being served. And so I encourage you to research our website and just get a little feel for what those students' stories are, because they are the real reason why we do the work we do. So thank you so much for your time.
And so as we move into our offertory music, will you give generously to the work within and beyond this congregation's walls, which make our community a better place? Offering. When hurricanes blow, when floodwaters rise, when the world seems full of strife, or bombs shake the land, when yelling, the bluster, the discord seems loud, we come back to our sanctuary, to this place of refuge, of quiet and gentle sound, a place for respite, for relaxation, for the contemplation of all that we long to find space for. In this house of the sacred, we restore our courage. We open our hearts, quiet our minds, and make our spirits refreshed, ready for the work ahead, that we may once more welcome one another and become a place which is a foundation from which to launch our efforts to heal this world once more. For this common purpose, may we join in worship together. And for our opening hymn today, our very classic, the first one in our hymnal, May Nothing Evil Cross This Door, for this place is a sanctuary.
May nothing evil cross this door, and may your fortune never pry. About these windows may the roar and rain go by. By faith made strong, the rafters will withstand the battering of the storm. This heart, though all the world grow chill, will keep you warm. Peace shall walk softly through these rooms, touching our lips with holy wine, till every casual corner blooms into a shrine. With laughter drown the raucous shout, and though these sheltering walls are thin, may they be strong to keep hate out and hold love in.
For our chalice lighting, we have Our Beacon of Hope by Joseph M. Cherry. As we gather together for worship this morning, being both near and far, we light our chalice as we do each week. It is a symbol of our faith. May its light be a beacon of hope for the many, those who feel lost, those who feel threat, those who feel tired, those who are uncertain. May our beacon of hope help you find home, help you feel safe, give you respite, and honor your searching mind and spirit. And now, if the young or young at heart wish to join us on the chancel at this time, we invite you to share the leadership of speaking our covenant in unison before our time for all ages. And the words can be found in the inside cover of your order of service as well.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service its cause. This is our covenant, to dwell together in faith, to seek truth, and to help others. And today, we have a bit of a book to read. It is called No Dragons for Tea. And we will be reading a rather abridged version because I also have some questions for all of us that I want to make sure we have time for. So, the subtitle of this book, in case you were wondering, is Fire Safety for Kids and Dragons. One warm, sunny day at the end of last week, my mom and I went for a walk to the creek. As I raced down the hill in my little red wagon, can anyone guess what might rhyme with wagon? I veered to the left and smacked into a dragon. Oh my goodness. Well, he sheepishly grinned, then stepped out of the way, and he seemed so polite that I asked him to play. We ran to the creek and then on to the bay where we played on the beach for the rest of the day. Then Mom waved and said, "Now it's time to go eat. Let's pack the wagon up and head up to the street." I begged and I pleaded and said very sweet, "We won't make a mess, we'll be tidy and neat." So at last she said, "Yes, just this once I'll agree. You may have the dragon come over for tea." Well, we had carrots and apples, thick slices of ham with fresh homemade biscuits and strawberry jam. Then the dragon's nose twitched and he started to wheeze and his eyes misted up and he blew a great sneeze. Chew! Well, we all know what happens when dragons chew. Flame shot from his mouth and from both nostrils too. Our tablecloth sparked and then burst into flame. And the curtains that hung right beside did the same. So the smoke alarm rang. What a loud, piercing sound. It meant get out fast. So I dropped to the ground. Why would we do that? Kind of like that. Yeah, you want to get under the smoke. That's exactly right. Yeah, if things are starting to be on fire, you get down low. Well, the dragon got scared and decided to hide. But I knew when there's fire, we must go outside. So I grabbed his thick tail and with one mighty tug, I pulled that whole dragon from under the rug. And I crept down the hallway and said, "Follow me. I know the way out. We must meet by the tree." So Mom and the dragon and I all met there. Then that silly old dragon went back for his bear. Well, we ran up and caught him and wouldn't let go. And I said, "Listen, dragon, here's what you should know. Don't ever go back. That just will not do. We can get a new bear, but we can't replace you." So before very long, down our street came a sailin', with bright red lights flashing and loud sirens wailing. The fire crew rushed to start work on their tasks, all dressed in big boots, wearing helmets and masks. Soon the fire chief called out the door with a shout, "Well, the smoke made a mess, but the fire is out." My poor friend the dragon knew he was to blame, so he hung down his head and wept great tears of shame. One of the fire crew said, "Don't be sad. You knew what to do, and for that we're quite glad. You all got out safely. That's what really matters." Then She took us to see the big pump truck and ladders. And the dragon put on a big shiny red hat, and I asked to see where the fire crew sat. And the rest of the fire crew checked all the rooms while a fan in the door blew out gray smoke and fumes. Well, the next time the dragon and I want to play, we'll pack up a picnic and go to the bay. We are friends tried and true, just the best we can be, but I'll never again invite dragons for tea. So that is our story, because today we are going to do something that I think we haven't done in a little while. Can anyone guess what we might be doing today based on that book? I think I heard someone out here. A fire drill. So, one of the things that I think is a really good idea to know are some of the ways that we keep each other safe here. And a fire drill is one of those ways. And knowing all of the ways that we would get out of the building if we needed to is part of that. So, can anyone show us which ways we could get out of this room if we needed to leave? 1, 2, 3 different doors. Yeah. If you really needed to, you could probably get out any of these 3 windows as well. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty important to know. And what else do we have in case, let's say it hasn't ever happened, but what if the chalice were to tip over and then there was something on fire up on the chancel? Where would we find something to help with that? Does anyone know? Yes! So we have 1 small can of fire retardant that stops a fire or slows it down. We have another fire extinguisher here. And then we even have 1 more. Josh is showing you. So in the back, there's also a fire extinguisher back near that door. And does anyone else know, are there more fire extinguishers in the building? There's 1 in the kitchen. There's 1 in the hallway, just at the top of the stairs that go down.
You could try to stomp it out.
If there was a small fire, sometimes you can stomp out a few sparks or just a little flame. Yeah. So there are a lot of fire extinguishers in this building. There's 1 just down the stairs behind the stage on the way out of the community room toward those doors. Does anyone know how to operate them? I think a few people do. Has anyone ever used a fire extinguisher before? There you go. We've got at least 10 people who could help with that. And they do have instructions on them. It's always a good idea not to be reading instructions for the first time when there's already something on fire. So I think it's always a good idea, if you have a spare minute and you're just kind of hanging out, maybe being bored, go ahead and read a fire extinguisher. See how you do that. So today, we are not going to do, as this said, the piercing loud shriek of a fire alarm. We will instead leave quietly with some help. I know we have Mike is going to help us out one of our doors, and Audrey will help out the other. You can go front or back around the sidewalk, and much like we heard in our book, you can meet by the tree. And we'll even have ice cream out that way as a reward for getting yourself out safely. What are the other spaces besides the sanctuary that we should always check on our way out if there's a fire? Yeah. The nursery, yeah. So for folks who are on this side, can you see into the nursery? Yeah, it's one of the reasons we keep that, so you could look, and on your way out, if you saw that there were people who maybe needed a little bit of help, you could help right there at the doorway with getting people outside. Anywhere else that we would want to check? Downstairs, yeah. So there should not be anybody downstairs during the worship service, except that sometimes we have religious education right after the worship. So checking the rainbow room, where would we check from that's outside? Do you know? So outside there's grass and trees. There's actually a window to the rainbow room. Where is that? Yeah, so when you go out these front doors, just to the left of the steps as you're heading out is a window well. And that's the room for faith development. And if there were people downstairs, you could help them out of that. That's an egress window, which means it's a window you can walk right out of. It's even got a little ladder to climb up if you needed to. Yeah. And the last place I can think of that people might be is bathrooms. You actually thought of one that I didn't think of. And the kitchen, because our hospitality crews are often there. So just looking down that hallway to make sure that there's not somebody stuck is a great idea.
Upstairs also.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be anybody upstairs during worship. And if there were, we would definitely want them to come down pretty quick. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you all for helping us think about where are all the places that might have people in them during the worship service, so we can help keep one another safe. And there are fire extinguishers on every level, and that's one of the things we can do to help keep each other safe, is checking and making sure that those are current at least once a year, which is why we're having a fire drill today. So thank you all. You may head to your seats. We will head to our prayer. All right. So if you'd like to take a breath and settle yourself in a spirit of prayer or meditation, spirit of life, of love, spirit of connection. Each Sunday we gather to be with one another as a support and a comfort in hard times, to celebrate our joyful, happy moments, to dwell together in the mystery and wonder of this life. Today, many of us are thinking of all those who have been affected by the flooding, by the winds, by Hurricane Helene as it crossed the eastern United States this week. We especially ask your prayers and your thoughts for the congregations affected. We are thinking with fondness and holding in prayer Reverend Audette, who was one of our ministers here at this congregation and now serves the Unitarian Universalist Church in Asheville, North Carolina, where the flooding has thankfully affected one of of their faith development buildings, but not the main sanctuary. We also hold in our prayers the St. Petersburg, Florida church, where I was a young adult. They are in a low-lying space and expect to be sweeping out floodwaters in the next few days. For Reverend Ben Atherton Zeman and his congregation, may we hold them in prayer. And for many congregations not yet named, but in which we know there has been destruction. Let us hold each in our thoughts, in our hopes, that they may be surrounded by community and held up in this time. And may we continue to hold the Solis family in our prayers as Mike continues his healing journey. We hold especially Karen's nephew, Sam, in Valdosta, who is displaced at this time. Karen is also starting a new job. May we hold her in hope and in love as she recovers from surgery, starts a new job, and in many ways is moving and changing in life. And may we also hold in our thoughts Danny Rossler, who would welcome visits. She has not been feeling up to coming to church just recently. And in this time of the year, as our weather changes, as those last blooms of summer are holding out and the harvest time is in full swing, may we give thanks for what is good on this earth, for the ever-changing cycles of life which hold us in our care. May we hold room in our hearts for joys as yet unspoken and the sorrows too tender to say out loud. Amen, and blessed be.
Our sacred message for this morning is the 23rd Psalm from the Judeo-Christian Bible. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord with my whole life long. Unitarian Universalist minister Reverend Julian Jamaica Soto writes, "All of us need all of us to make it." I want you to get used to those words. Make them your prayer. All of us need all of us to make it. This is why Unitarian Universalists support Black Lives Matter movement. It is why we support our transgender and queer kin. It is why we support children's rights to a full education and schools and homes that are safe. It is why we support our elders and people with disabilities in making sure there are sufficient safe living spaces, health care that meets their needs, and access to community spaces, including this church. Say it with me, loud or softly. All of us need all of us to make it. All of us need all of us to make it. In a world where some of us are targeted for struggle and brutality, where others of us benefit and flourish, we pray, all of us need all of us to make it. In a world where powerful people of ill will and indifference make us fearful for our safety and our futures, we pray, all of us need all of us to make it. In the excruciating space that lives between seeing and naming, hearing and changing, we pray, all of us need all of us to make it. Make a picture in your mind of someone you aren't very happy with right now. Look at their face in your mind and pray, all of us need all of us to make it. Unitarian Universalists believe that all of us need all of us to make it. This is why we're in solidarity with the movements that create justice and allow us all to thrive today and every day. Amen.
And so it is. For in Unitarian Universalism, we know, we have been taught by our Universalist ancestors that we come from the same places, from star, stuff, and all creation, that we go to the same places, that when we are done with this life, there is nothing to fear, but that here within this life, we are responsible for one another. For here, we know that all of us need all of us to make it. This core and foundational belief is the underpinning of so much that we do. When we go to Comea and serve a supper, it is because we know that we too may find ourselves hungry someday and wish to be fed. We know that all of us are connected, that this might be a brother, a sister, a neighbor. We know when we collect goods for needs or for Safe House and donate, that we too are served, are enriched by the ways that we share our generosity. We know that we give to the Unaccompanied Student Initiative, for those are our neighbors, the people whose thriving makes our own community a better, safer, more joy-filled and livable place for each and every one of us. that yes, the next life is not a thing to fear, but we also need to remove the fear from this life. And that is not by making it so that no bad things ever happen. We cannot prevent the winds, rain, the weather. We cannot prevent great shifts in our society or wars overseas or closer to home violence. We don't have the ability to guarantee that nothing bad, nothing sad, nothing terrifying can ever happen in life. But what we can do is know that we together have the power to make things better. That we can send money or goods or our own helpful selves when there are disasters. And in this way, terror turns once again to community. That we can be there when a friend nearby is in need with a casserole or a hug or just some listening space. And we know that when we need to move as one, that we will be together. Whether it is knowing that when you turn up for a legislative session, you won't be the only one in the room standing for justice. Or knowing in this moment, as we prepare to move to our fire drill, that we are all looking out for one another. It is important that we are here for one another because all of us need all of us to make it. And so, in this moment, I'm going to ask you to look up and down your pew. If you happen to be the only one in your pew, you might look at the pew in front of or behind you. Make sure you have a couple of buddies. Those folks, you're going to make sure you see them when you get outside. And so, having talked about safety, having spoken to the ways that we find our safety, we are about to put our words into action by practicing moving ourselves out of our sanctuary in an orderly fashion toward those doors of our building. Once you're outside, make sure everyone in your pew, your buddies, are also there, and then make your way on the sidewalk around to the trees out front, where you will find, as a thank you for helping us in this practice, ice cream or popsicle treats so that you can have a little something to cool down after all that movement. So before we move, can I get just hands up from who knows that they're headed to a door to help us move that way? I think we've got Mike and Audrey. I will be at the back making sure that nobody's left behind in a pew, except for Jenkin. He's going to keep the building safe for us while we are gone, because he's a stuffed guy and he will be okay. All right. Is everyone ready to exit calmly? We'll extinguish this flame and move our way out.